Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the San Jose Sharks and the fact they are the only winless team in the NHL at the moment. So before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So I do want to apologize for a lack of videos this week. I lost a lot of my recording stuff but was able to find it today, hence why we have a late video going out tonight. But in this one we're talking about the Sharks who are off to a slow start this season. And I know a lot of people talk about why do we cover these teams that we know are going to be bad, that have been bad multiple seasons in a row, when we just expect it? And I think that that's kind of a fair point, but at the same time, too, while teams may intentionally choose to be bad, that doesn't mean we can't talk about these low points, especially for fans that are watching this team and hoping to get a turnaround. They do have kind of a right to hear about some of these things, and if you're just interested in the NHL. So, kicking it off with the Sharks, they are 0-5-2 through their first 7 games this year. They also are able to say for the second year in a row at least that they are the last team in the league to pick up a win, as they were winless through their first 11 games last year. And slow starts over the past few seasons have kind of been a hallmark of the Sharks, as while they know they're going to have a hard time kind of getting up in the standings, they don't do themselves any favors in the beginning of the year, as even looking back at the 2022-23 season, they were winless through their first 5 games. And while I don't think this year could be as bad as the start as we saw last year, even though they're getting close, and there aren't as many things that have gone wrong in terms of really bad scores like the Pittsburgh Penguins, Vancouver Canucks games last year. Looking at the 8-3 loss to Winnipeg is probably the closest thing you're going to get to it. There's still some things that are feeling very bad for this team. Kicking it off with the first game of the year, they played the St. Louis Blues, and for those of you that don't know, the Blues were the only team in the NHL last year to not pick up a win against the Sharks. San Jose got an early lead in that game. They had a multi-goal lead before coughing it up, and that's just kind of a snapback into reality for a lot of the fans, I think, as this is where you kind of get a return to saying, yeah, this year is going to be very tough for us. And I think one thing in particular that kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit is 2 early season losses to the Anaheim Ducks. I said in my season preview for the San Jose Sharks, San Jose was going to be a team that, while they weren't going to be great, should kind of butt heads and then, rub shoulders against those other teams that are at the bottom of their division or in the NHL in general and say, hey, we are going to be trying to get better than you, especially a team like Anaheim that are in their division. Now, I know that some things like the injury bug have kind of gotten the Sharks down a little bit as Macklin Celebrini has been injured, but I do think at the same time, too, we can say that things will happen over the course of the season. Flipping over to another script, you can talk about some things that have gone right for them. Looking at the fact that Tyler Toffoli, a guy that's played on a variety of NHL teams, is averaging a point per game despite the fact that he's playing on a team like San Jose. William Eklund is another case of this. Kind of a different scenario though, a young guy that is developing for the Sharks that is getting his second full season in the league. He had 45 points last year, and while the results weren't always there, you're hoping for a big year of development and growth for him. Barclay Goodrow, who has 1 point in 7 games, may not seem like a guy that's doing well, but especially at 5-on-5, a lot of chances are kind of going in the Sharks' favor, which is nice to see. And while it's weird seeing him on this team, it's really not, because the Sharks have a just odd roster in general, as guys are at various stages of their careers and what they can do for this team and for themselves going forward. And then finally, Will Smith, who may be pointless through his first 6 games this season, you're still getting to see him play as a fan. And I would say that's a good thing, seeing some of these younger players get that opportunity to go out there and A, entertain you, but B, possibly help turn themselves into a good Sharks team. Now, on the flip side, there are still plenty of things that are going poorly for this team at the moment. You look at the fact that they are averaging the most minutes on the PK this year. That is not good. I can accept that some teams may not have a good season on the PK for a variety of reasons, but if you're a bad team, averaging the most minutes is not a great thing. There's not that many games that they've played just yet, so I don't know if maybe they had a game where they just were really crazy and had to go to the box a lot, but averaging over 8 minutes, I mean, come on now. As for that too, looking at some of the things like the fact that they are struggling in net, not saying that it's all on their goalies. Both of them though have save percentages below 900, and it's probably a good thing that Yaroslav Askarov has not been able to go out there just yet, as he is their goalie prospect, and I'm going to say pardon him as long as you can. And then, of course, too, just in general, while they have goalies that have bad save percentages, you realize they were allowing a lot of goals. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with teams that are struggling defensively. But I still think that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because their first win has to come eventually. And while we talk about, teams that are good, that are in bad stretches, might get to play good teams, I don't think it really matters as much for a bad team playing good teams whether or not they're going to get a win. Because look at San Jose last year when they were winless their first 11 games. They played Philadelphia Flyers team that ended up going on to finish with nearly 90 points on the year, and they beat them. Also look at the fact too that the Sharks had wins over the Edmonton Oilers, New York Rangers, and the Vancouver Canucks last season. what were those teams? You had teams that won the division, teams that were the President's Trophy winner, and a team that ended up going on to the Stanley Cup Final. So there is a possibility for them to go out there and beat a good team to pick up that first win. It doesn't necessarily have to come against a bad team. Who exactly is going to be that team? Maybe the Los Angeles Kings are going to be that side. They play them 2 times in the next 4 games. There is that familiarity with them as they are a divisional rival, and the Sharks were able to pick up a win against them last season, so maybe they could be a side. Maybe they go out there and beat Vegas, who is a team that you wouldn't expect them to lose to necessarily. But again, any given night, an NHL team can pick up a win. It's not like, it's impossible to see these teams go out there and have those games. Again, San Jose had a fantastic record against the Blues last year, and the Blues were a fringe wildcard team. And so while we know that the team will eventually go on to win, we just don't know when it'll be. I don't think the Sharks are going to go out there and break the record. I feel like this team is going to go out there and get a chance. They've got some games where you can probably say that they've got a good 50-50 opportunity, and at the end of the day, I mean, even if they set the record, I think that while it would be sad, it's more about seeing how this team responds and the character of this group, because I feel like for rebuilding teams especially, it's very weird because you have a lot of different personalities and a lot of guys that might feel, kind of frustrated by maybe veterans getting more minutes than them, or maybe the veterans seeing the young guys get more minutes than them. You have a rookie head coach this year, and I think that if the Sharks are able to get through this for better or worse, even if the wins aren't there, it's okay. But of course, too, for San Jose fans, they're going to say, let's not make any history that's bad. Let's start getting things going and get a couple of wins along the way. Even if we're able to, of course, be a bottom feeder team, we'd get a high-end pick, which is good. But if we broke out of the bottom 4, maybe it would be a good sign for things to come. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the San Jose Sharks this season? Who is their first win going to be against? How many wins will they pick up on the year? I think they had 19 last season. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go love hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.